Hello and welcome to my GMS tutorial. Now, GMS is short for Grand Master Swipe. Sounds pretty impressive, it's not that hard, it's a lot easier than it sounds and it's a lot easier than it looks. If you approach it in the right way, it can actually be a very easy move to learn. Now, I learned GMS after I could already do double corks and other much harder moves because I thought it was a really hard trick. No one really told me how to approach it. So whenever I tried it, I slammed onto my side and I could not figure it out. But if you break it down into little bits, it can actually be very easy. So before you try GMS, what you need to be able to do is an aerial, and it helps if you can do a flash kick, just because if you end up going a bit more over your head, then you'll be comfortable with it and you'll understand the feeling of it. I'm going to teach it to you from a cartwheel. That's the easiest setup to do it from for most people. It's really simple and easy to replicate. You can always do pretty much the same cartwheel when you're going into it. Before you try GMS, first you're going to learn how to do a master swipe, which is essentially a cartwheel off your other leg. So if you twist to the left, you're going to take off your right leg. If you twist to the right, you're going to take off your left leg. So let's say you were going to the left the way I go, you'd come out of your cartwheel on your right leg, and then you bring your left leg either in front of your right leg or just right into where your right leg is. So as your right leg comes off the ground, your left leg's going to go into that position where it was. And as you're taking off, you're going to push your hips in the direction you came from in your cartwheel. What this is going to do is stop you from traveling too much in your master swipe and make you rotate more around the same spot, which means your leg doesn't have to go anywhere near as far and it's going to be much easier to get round, and it will be a lot less pressure on your wrists. So to start with, you're just going to use that takeoff, so just off the right leg, left leg either in front or into where the right leg is, doesn't really matter, and you're going to pull your arms across like an aerial as you push your hips towards the direction your cartwheel came from. As you're leaving the ground, you should be looking at the floor over your left shoulder. Your eyes should never leave the ground all the way through this move. After you push off, you're just going to put both hands down and do a cartwheel. So it's just a much harder setup into a cartwheel, really. Now, once you're comfortable doing this, to make it better and to make it easier for you to do a Grandmaster Swipe, you've got to try and do that master swipe traveling as short a distance as possible. If you can take off from your cartwheel and land in the exact same spot, then you're on the right track and it's not going to be too hard for you to do a GMS. Once you're comfortable doing that, you can either do a master swipe with one hand, though this can be a lot of pressure on your wrists. I have a bad wrist at the moment, so that's why I'm not demonstrating it. Or you can go straight from two hands to no hands, as it's quite easy to do this on a mat. And you can see where you are the whole time, so it's not too scary to try. You can see the floor all the way through the move. Well, if you're doing it right, you can. So for going for your GMS, the main things you need to think about is not doing a particularly fast cartwheel. Make sure you do a controlled cartwheel, as more speed just means you're more likely to take off leaning too much over to your left, which is going to kill your height. So do it from a fairly slow cartwheel. You don't need a big spin setup into it. I think it's a lot easier to learn if you do it from a standing cartwheel. Now, GMS is one of those moves where if you do the technique correctly, it will be really, really easy. If you do the technique wrong, then it just won't work and you won't even be able to force it. It's one where you really have to do it properly. So as you come out of your cartwheel, focus on pushing that right hip back towards where the cartwheel came from. It's really important that you do that in the takeoff. It's going to mean that your legs don't need to travel anywhere near as far, and it's going to make it much easier. Other thing, spotting the ground just as you would in an aerial over your left shoulder. Keep your eyes on that spot all the way through and force that right leg over and commit to landing on it. Now, committing to landing on the right leg is probably the hardest bit of GMS, but once you start committing, then you'll be able to do it. If you're finding it really hard, try and do it onto a crash mat. It'll make it a lot easier for you to just commit to the move. Also, practicing your master swipes, make sure you get them nice and fast and aim to get them on the spot. Once you can get them on the spot, then you should be able to do a GMS. In fact, you'll start to find it hard to even get your hands down and it will start to feel like you should be doing a GMS. Hope this helps you with your Grandmaster swipe. There's really not much else to think about with it. As long as you do these things, you should be able to get it, no problem. It's not too hard a trick. Don't build it up in your head as a hard trick, that's not gonna help. It's a fairly basic move. If you go about it in the right way, you should be able to learn it, maybe just in a few sessions, depending on your level. Maybe in one session. If you're already at a level where you can do double twists, then you should be able to get it in one session using these tips. So, good luck with the GMS. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe for new videos every single week. And if you want access to over 400 videos like this made to help you progress faster in tricking, check out kojostricklab.com. There's a link in the description below. So yeah, check that out. We post 24 new videos per month. There's just a lot on there. Go onto the site and you can have a look and see all of the videos that we've got before signing up.